Good morning, YouTube. This is Minister Paul. It is July 16th, 2012 at 10:40 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and I'm coming to you from Northern California. I want to just give you a quick update on some news that is bothering me, actually disturbing my spirit. Everybody's calling this a zombie apocalypse. I don't buy it. I'm calling it an invasion of evil, as predicted in the Holy Bible. I'm not buying into the zombie apocalypse. If that's the key words that has to bring people to this video, so be it. I believe that's media hype, just like the bath salts was, but it has now hit my city. I'm going to tell you what I know of this story. It says, just to let you know, that this was just updated to exactly 2 hours ago. So we're current on this, okay? Fair Oaks is a very exclusive area of Sacramento County to the northeast. Sacramento is a very big county. It has several different good neighborhoods and bad neighborhoods, and this right here just happens to be one of the better neighborhoods where people will go to retire, or if they buy a home there, they tend to stay there their whole life. You know, I was born and raised out here. So on we go to this story of this Moses, this man right here. He is in custody for the alleged, and I say alleged, murder, until we get all the facts, if we ever get all the facts, of a murder of yet another 80-year-old woman. When I say another, I want you to know, from Stockton to Sacramento, which is roughly about 40 miles, there's been 3 women in their 80s brutally killed with no weapons. People, and up until this guy being taken into custody, and I'm not saying I know he did it, he was covered in blood though. So it won't be hard to prove this case if it was her blood, you know what I'm saying? Up until this guy, the woman who was killed in Stockton at 84 years old was sexually molested and pummeled to death with no weapons. That suspect has not been caught. And then there was another one in Tracy, I believe it was, and now a third one. They're coming south. Now they've hit Sacramento. So when you see this Fair Oaks, understand this is just an annexed area of Sacramento County. Okay, let's read this story real quick. A woman in her 80s was found dead inside her Fair Oaks home. Sheriffs detained Moses Trotter, a 32-year-old man, in connection to the incident. Deputies are treating it as a homicide investigation. This man. Apparently, it says, Trotter ran from her house naked and covered in blood. The woman was found fully clothed. Deputies are not saying at this time how she died or if any weapons were used. Sheriffs originally responded to the scene, and we'll go to another story. He was not wearing a shirt. Neighbors said the man was acting in a bizarre way. They said he was asking people to save him. Deputies responded to the scene, and look, there's no motive known. And this is just how life seems to go. It's just at times not fair. One neighbor said the woman was an iconic person in the neighborhood and a sweetheart. Just briefly, quickly cover the news. I'm going to run a 1-minute news clip, but let me tell you what I know of this story just based off of having some associates in this industry here. Nobody from this neighborhood knew him, and I think they mentioned this. He was showing up without a shirt on. He was not high. He didn't smell of any drugs or alcohol. He was out of, he just, you know, like when somebody comes in your neighborhood, hopefully you know if they belong there or not. This guy did not belong to this neighborhood. Nobody had ever seen him before. It was late at night when, you know, you're in, you know, protect your children type mode, you know, begin to close up windows. That's how it is out here. And he was banging on doors saying, "Save me, save me." And they look out their window and they see this wild-eyed looking man with no shirt on who nobody has ever seen before. Well, he was able to get into this, the victim, and we pray for her family, by the way, and her loved ones. He was able to make access into her home and was last seen. Now, when he went in, he just didn't have a shirt on. And other people had already called the police for them trying to get into his house. Nobody recognized this guy. He leaves running from her home naked. So sometime, but from time he entered into her house and the time he left, he became fully naked and covered in blood. Now, I'm not going to create facts that I don't know, but when he went in and when he left, blood was all over him and he'd lost all his clothes. Okay, so this just, whenever you hear a homicide detective who've seen everything out here, trust me, we have serial killers, we've seen it all out here, I'm born and raised here. The only way they can describe it, the homicide detective, is bizarre. And that's, I got a better word. How about just calling it what it is? Evil. Evil. And again, this story was just updated a couple hours ago. Let me play this 1 minute news clip here. I don't know what that is. That's the fire. We have a fire. Can I ask for a prayer request? We have a fire. It's called the Robbers Fire, burning out of control here. And we have extremely high winds today. You see this Robbers Fire, 30% contained. Homes are now being destroyed. It's in an area that's hard to hit. And I asked for prayer. That's what that was that kicked on. I was going to run that story, but I won't. Let's listen to this 1 minute clip, because it's not a zombie apocalypse. If that's the key word, it's men possessed by demons, just like Jesus. You don't think that there was naked men running around naked, living in cemeteries? Do you remember the story when they approached the cemetery? This man lived in there. He was so strong that when they chained him up, he could break the chains. He had superhuman strength. It didn't say that he was high on bath salts. He was full of demons. Does everybody remember that story? Where he lived in cemeteries, walking in and among the tombs, naked and with superhuman strength. That's demonic. It's not. Let's listen if law enforcement has concluded that if he was on any bath salts, drugs, or alcohol. Let's just take it from them, not me.
Motive after a late-night murder of an elderly woman in Fair Oaks. Sheriff's deputies were called to a home on Olympic Way just north of Sunset Avenue about 7:30 Sunday night. This after a neighbor found a shirtless man in his house. That man took off from that house, ran down the street and into another home of an elderly woman. The neighbors called deputies. They got to the scene. They demanded the man come out of the home, and he finally did. But when he did, he was
Sacramento,
naked and he was covered in blood. Deputies went inside. They found the elderly woman dead in her home.
Suffice to say, bizarre circumstances, and we're investigating. Nobody in the neighborhood seems to know who this guy is. We haven't identified him yet, but he seems to be a complete stranger to the neighborhood. According to the neighbors who we've been able to speak with, nobody knows him.
The deputies say the man is surprisingly calm. He's been very cooperative, and there are no obvious signs of alcohol or drugs. The woman was alone in the home at the time that she was attacked.
Surprisingly calm, cooperative, and no signs of drugs or alcohol, covered in blood, naked, and we have a woman in her 80s. They're not releasing her exact age. That's 3 now, dead. What's going on? You tell me. I'll tell you what I think's going on. Look, there's a 7 and a 3. I'm going to do, that's my next video. The 7 and the 3 numbers from my dreams. We're in it, folks. Whether you like it or not, whether you believe it or not, is irrelevant. You are in the end times.